question is, what color do I want that pink? I'm not a fan of the vapor. Or I could. Welcome back. My name is Zachary from Tenfold, and today we're going to be going over one of our most interesting interview setups that we've actually shown on this channel. And I would say that this is the most interesting just because of the location. This project was originally for Cineplex, and it was supposed to be a really simple project, but with all our work we do, we like it to bring us to the max production level that we can as a group. And for this project, this is exactly what we did. When we were actually setting everything up, there weren't any specific roles, we were just really working together as a group. We saw some references that we really liked in terms of what has been shot in a movie theater, and then we made those key decisions to really come to a final product that we were happy with. The first thing that we're going to look at is the composition and how the room looks and why we made the decisions of where to put the talent as well as camera positions. For our main camera, we used the red Komodo, and then this was paired with a Nikon AIS 35mm lens. We decided to go with the 35 because it gave us the best of the two looks we were going for. One, it is a center frame wide shot, and the 35 backed up enough gives you a pretty wide angle, and as well as it gives the effect that you are sitting in a larger space, even though it's a private theater. For our camera B, we used a Sony FX9, and this was on a 50mm lens, and we did the standard off to the side on a 45-degree angle. The important thing looking at a standard 2-camera setup is that you don't want your B cam looking just a tight version of your A cam, so we went off on that 45-degree, as well as didn't go too profile-y so you catch the second eye. An important thing here, that because the person is talking directly to the camera, in this case camera A, we position the person asking the questions right of camera A. So in an instant, if the subject looks at the person talking, they aren't crossing the line between the two cameras. This pretty much covers the composition. We only really like to do center framing when you have a relative space that gives you those leading lines, which I'm going to be breaking down when I actually start drawing on the frames that we used. This is a really fun space to light, and the first thing that we're going to look at is the key light. In this case, we use the standard technique of book lighting. And this is where you point your light source, in this case a Nanlite Forza 500 with a Fresnel and barn doors to shape the light. At a bounce card goes through a frame of diffusion. For this shoot, we're using a 6.5 by 5 fast frame with one stop of diffusion as well as an egg crate. The reason why we use book light lighting is because it gives you a super soft source. Bounce light is always a really good source in terms of softness, and then you have that going through a one-stop diffusion in addition to an egg crate. So this just gives you a giant source that is really soft, and it gives a really pleasing look when you're looking at skin tones. Now the only problem associated with bounce light is the spill. So we had a 4x8 floppy on the right of the frame to kill the spill going into the room, and then in addition we had a cutter, which is a 24x36 flag, and that killed the spill that was going onto the chairs. In this situation, oddly enough, we have two hair lights. One that is a hard light coming from the projector, as well as a super soft one that's boomed over. For the hair light that is boomed over, we have a Nanlite Forza 60B, and this also has a mini dome with diffusion as well as an egg crate. This was just boomed over the talent and set at a low percentage, and this just kicks them out on the edge a bit. Now for the light that you see in the back, this serves two purposes. This serves as a practical, as the projector in the room, as we're in a movie theater. We just want to go with that aesthetic because we thought it was pretty cool. And this again acts as a hard light as a hair light. For the simulated projector, we used an Aperture 120D, and this had a standard reflector on it to more concentrate the light, so it wasn't just a bare bulb. It was pretty funny how we had to boom it in because we didn't have any room to actually set up a light in that window because there's already a projector in. As you can see in the frame, that is not exactly center, and then this is something that we just had to live with because we weren't able to move the lens of the projector, and we didn't want to disturb anything that was already in place. We wanted to add some tube lights or something to lift the room in general, but we already saw that we had this natural triangle of light going towards the projector. To give more levels to the room and just the chairs sitting in the back so they wouldn't fall off to complete darkness, we used a Nanlite Mixed Panel 150, and then this just had a rectangular softbox and just one stop of diffusion. That finishes up the lighting for this setup. The next thing we're going to do is dive into some frames so I can really break down and show you exactly how we did this. Okay, time to bring her home. Bring her home, boy. So first thing we're gonna look at is the camera A position. So just write up cam A right here. And what I'm gonna do is everything that relates to composition, I'm gonna write in a blue line. Then everything that relates to the lighting, I'm gonna do in a yellow line. What I mentioned before in terms of the lighting, that you can see that we have a natural triangle to the room. This has to do with the lighting, this has to do with the seats and how they're positioned. And then this just, again, I say this in all the videos, gives us so many leading lines to look back at our subject. Right, my eyes are drawn to the center. This is a center frame shot. My eyes should be drawn to the center. So that's really everything that comes to composition here. Center frames, when you do them right, they're kind of self-explanatory. So again, we have the big frame that is book lighting me. This is gonna be hard to actually do that, so I'll just say that our source is here. And then again, this is the soft light from the book lighting. You can see that from the BTS. And then this gives me a massive, nice source on my skin as a subject, right? And then we can tell that it's a really soft source. This is a difference between if you just keyed with a normal light dome or something like that versus a massive soft source like this. You can just see that the spread is across my body, like from basically the feet, because the frame goes all the way down to the bottom, from all the way up to the top. There is a massive spread of light on my body, and then the wrap is super nice as well. We aren't getting a super in terms of Rembrandt lighting here on the triangle, but it is enough to give us enough shape. And then we see that fall off here. We see that fall off on my arms, and then we see this fall off on my other arm is here. I'm just gonna erase this one here, and then I'm gonna talk about the hair lights. So again, we have a Nanlite 60B with a soft box, and that is boomed out over here. And then that is spilling light onto my shoulder as well as the head. And then we have that, again, you can see that practical hard light that is giving that nice edge here. And then also it's spilling up onto here and giving some nice, we like to call it salt and pepper in the frame. So again, this just pops me out from the frame, because if I didn't have that ring of light around my head, that my hair and the edges of my face would just fall back into the chairs because they're so dark. Sorry about this getting so messy, but we have the Nanlite Mix Panel 150, and then that's just spilling light onto the back just to raise the levels of the chair so you can see the details in the chair. Looking at the camera B, again, this is the FX9 and the 50mm, and again, same lighting principles as always, but the thing that we're going to look at is composition first. So my head, again, is in center frame. When switching between camera angles, we want the subject to be in center frame so the eyes aren't wandering when you're looking at the edit or watching the video. What was really nice here, that there was a doorway that we didn't even have to light. This is the ambient light coming from the other room. It was tungsten light that was super ugly, but it looked good on camera just because the contrast between the blue. So this was something that was naturally there that we just left that we really like. So this, again, leading lines right into my head, and then just everything about this, we have leading lines going this way now instead of that. So again, everything's just pointing directly here, which draws my eyes naturally. And then now you can see that wrap a little bit more. You just see a massive gradient if we're looking at the dark point here between the light point of my face here. Again, this has been through color grading. This is just not a raw image. This is just a light color. I didn't do anything crazy on it. This is just a pleasing look when you're looking at skin tones, and this is how you want to portray people. Because in this, I do actually have imperfections on my skin, but they're not highlighted just to the fact that the light source is super soft. And then if you look at my eyes, my glasses are kind of dirty. My mom's gonna kill me if she watches this video, but you can see that catch light. I'm gonna erase these circles later because it looks really weird. The bigger the source you have, a bigger catch light you have. And then this, you can just see that clearly. We like to add little MCs whenever we don't have a catch light, but again, this just gives us that catch light. And then you can even see the separation more across my head. And again, this is just coming from the hair lights that we have. So we have that 60B. Right, I'll just remind you that's a 60B up there with a dome. And these are set at super low percentages because the room is so dark. And then we have that mix panel with that soft box shooting out here. And then you can see some of that highlighting right there. So the seats pop a bit. And then you can see the hard light giving a hair light to the seat, as well as popping out the back of my shirt here and going onto my head. Usually I like to go over multiple setups in these videos just to give you a variety of situations that we've gone through and how we solve those problems. But due to the fact that this whole setup was so interesting in terms of the location that we had and what we did in terms of lighting, we thought it was very appropriate to just do a full video about it. If you have any questions related to this video or anything that you want to see in the future on terms of content of lighting breakdowns, gear, anything relative to filmmaking, please let us know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching and subscribe for more.